Yo, what's up, guys? 9:30 Monday night. Must be time for a live stream. I'm here. You're here. What are we going to talk about? You guys know you'll dictate the chat tonight. No guest tonight, just me. Back to the live stream Q&A with you guys. Interaction time for the followers. If you see some blurriness or some fuzziness, that's the special effects that aren't very special. Still working on them. You know, coming here live from the draft. It's been a busy week. Well, yeah, let's go ahead and let's dive in. We got 26 people here already. Business 124, what's up? What's up, Bradley? Been here for a while waiting. Hope I can make it worth your wait, man. Jordan, what's going on? Scott, DJ Storm in the building. What's going on? Guys, what's going on with the market right now? I need you guys to help me out. What's up, Will? What's up, Jason? Because I've been doing a lot of selling and I haven't been doing a whole lot of buying. And it's because I'm just like moving my money around out of certain cards and into other cards and things like that. And selling basketball cards right now is not as easy as it was last season, guys. Let's be real. Let's be honest. The elephant in the room is the market. And what in the hell is going on with it? Steven Ryan, what's going on? Miami Mike. David, I love podcast. S. Fleming, we got Bravos along for the journey. Joel, what's going on? Joel says, buy Luka. He says, buy Luka. Luka is probably a good long-term buy, but Luka is expensive. He's expensive. So it's always, you could buy a guy like Luka. More than likely, you're going to be tied up into him for a while, hoping for him to win his first title or his first MVP or something like that. Just so much modern basketball is a tough sell, which makes it a tough buy at the moment. I know the market's down, so prices are fairly decent. I've moved out of a lot of my stuff and don't really know where to go with it at the moment. I'm really for the first time, I'm really in a pretty tough holding pattern. Yeah, I mean, I'm picking up some things, but I'm really consolidating out of a lot of smaller items and just I'm really picking my targets very patiently and wisely. It's not so much of a huge buy and sell flip game at the moment for myself. Buy bands and celebrities. I do agree with that because that stuff is getting popular and plus it's fun. I buy the rock and roll band stuff because I just think it's awesome and neat and collectible. And if I never sell it, I don't mind having it. Then again, you do got to have some stuff that, you can move in and out. Joel says he's doubling down on Luka. Again, I do think Luka is good long-term, but if you put all of your money into one asset right now, that's a long-term asset, then what are you going to be doing, for everyday day trading, for lack of a better term, type items, unless you leave yourself some budget. But if you're really doubling down on one thing that I feel is a little longer term than shorter term, then you're just going to be tied into it for a while. And that doesn't mean it's a bad thing to be tied into Luka. That's not what I'm saying at all. He's probably one of the smarter players, the smarter investments to be tied into long term. Hold on, let me check that. Luis Roberts stuff coming down in baseball. I meant to grab this from Chadley right here. It says, buy Michael Porter Jr. Michael Porter Jr. is also an option. The Nuggets are still playing really good without Jamal Murray. That was kind of one of the predictions that I made. I thought Michael Porter Jr. would get an opportunity to step up, which he has. He's scoring a lot of points. He's looking good, getting minutes, staying healthy, which is the big key. Michael Porter Jr. is one of the few players that I like short and long. I like Michael Porter Jr. as a short-term play, as well as if you don't get out of your Michael Porter Jr. cards for a good price at the end of this season, I think he has a little bit of a long-term upside as well. And he's not too expensive to get in on at the moment. He's actually fairly priced. Bradley says he's been buying Ohtani. I'm not sure what's happened on the market on Ohtani. When Ohtani was really hot to start the season, I sold out of like the 3 Ohtanis that I had. So I don't know the market on Ohtani right now. I don't know the market on a lot of baseball, to be honest. Matt, what's going on? Let's see. Bravo says, who's worth buying or looking into after the NFL draft? Well, man, if you look behind me, the draft isn't even over, man. It's still kicking here behind me. I'm just kidding. After the NFL draft, look for players that may not have benefited from the draft, because right now they're still going to be a little bit hyped up. Players whose team may have gotten them a new weapon, like a quarterback who might have gotten a new weapon, or a high-profile rookie that might have went to a team where they're going to automatically get thrown into the lineup. A guy that comes to mind is Najee Harris, the running back from Alabama. He went to Pittsburgh. That's who they wanted. They got rid of James Conner. They grabbed him as soon as he was there on the board. He's going to go right into that offense. That's a run heavy. He'll probably be one of your top 10 ranked fantasy running backs before even playing. So he's the type of player that when his rookie cards hit the market, whenever they start producing these guys, if he's not overpriced, then he might be a good grab just because Pittsburgh's a big market, a good team that's going to utilize him a lot. You might see quick bursts on his cards like you did on Clyde Edwards-Helaire last year, which then they didn't taper off. So you got to capitalize when you can. But that's one rookie coming out of the draft. Look for wide receivers on the teams that got young quarterbacks because you're going to have a lot of eyes on them. Everybody's going to be watching Trevor Lawrence. So pick your poison. Is there any wide receivers in Jacksonville you want to invest in while they're on the cheap? DJ Chark, Schoenalt. Look at San Francisco's wide receivers like a Deebo Samuel. Just take a look at those guys. Look at their price points before you buy if they're already spiked up. But that's just a couple players who could have secretly benefited from it. The Giants, again, drafted a wide receiver. You have Barkley coming back. So Daniel Jones, it's either now or never. They signed a wide receiver. They drafted a wide receiver. They still have Slayton. So teams building their offense. I am not – okay, so here we go. Concerned about Higgins' value with Chase being drafted. I'm not really sure. I think Chase was a bad pick for Cincinnati. And this isn't a draft show or anything, although I got the draft in the back. I was talking about the draft on draft night. But I don't like the fact that they didn't take an offensive tackle. I felt like Higgins – and Boyd are good enough receivers to where they didn't have to take a player like Chase. So if you can't block for your quarterback, it doesn't matter who your weapons are. I liked T. Higgins with sleepy value last year. He's going to still be, he's going to be under, people aren't going to be looking at him again this year. Coming into this season with A.J. Green being gone, there might have been some momentum that swung Higgins' way. However, with Chase being drafted again, Higgins is going to be pushed to the side. So you're going to have to see who the chemistry is there with, or who Burrow has chemistry with coming back. Adam says he hates the Packers, but Jordan Love, I'm not big on Jordan Love. I mean, if I was Jordan Love already hit spikes due to the Rodgers rumors, and basically, for me, if I was sitting on Jordan Love cards, I would be selling. I honestly don't believe in Jordan Love as a long-term talent in Green Bay. That's just me. I don't like him as a quarterback. I could be completely wrong. But if I was holding Jordan Love, this is actually a potential selling point for me personally. Not buying because right now he's going to be at peak prices. Phased Cardboard says, hey, Steve, am I collecting UFC 2021 Prism? I'm not. If I collect UFC cards, it's going to be some of the older stuff, and it's just going to be fighters that I like. It's not necessarily going to be ones that are good or worth money because UFC fighters come and they go so quickly. You win 3 fights, you lose 1, you're forgotten about. Or you're a champion, then you lose. Nobody wants your stuff. You win a championship, your prices spike, but you lose the next fight. You see it with UFC cards like crazy. And so to me, I don't play or dabble that much in the UFC market. I buy some Dana White cards because he's the one constant. And if they're fighters that I like Rose. I like Thug Rose. I don't know why. I just like her. And a couple fighters like that. Maybe some of the older guys who the foundation of the UFC was built on. Like if Hoist Gracie has any weird old stuff or anything like that, out of the box type stuff. But none of this Prism. I didn't really mess with the Prism in the WNBA stuff either, which we saw spikes when it first came out. we saw it die out, and then people started chasing older WNBA stuff. So I can see that with UFC getting its first Prism, people liking the product, buying it up, and then being like, wait a minute, I want to go back and buy some of the older stuff. See Bradley saying Jordan Love is not a buy, too unproven at that price. His prices are up. He is unproven. Rodgers hasn't gone anywhere yet. We still don't know what's going on with that. So, he says he's not going to play for the Packers, but we'll see what happens. Whoa. Wait a minute. I thought I accidentally moved somebody's comment. All right, never mind. I love podcasts. I feel comics and cards have cooled off a bit since February or March. Do you feel the same way? Cards, different markets of cards have cooled off. Football has been pretty warm. Baseball has been pretty hot on the good players. Comic books have not cooled off, actually. Comic books have continued to rise, especially key issues. Comic books are like cards were, 18 months ago or 2 years ago. Like the entire comic book market as a whole was just undervalued. I believe the spike that you're seeing in comic books isn't so much, the market getting flooded or anything, as much as it's a natural market correction up just because comics were so cheap. Matthew says, Steve, where am I sending my cards right now for grading? Or am I sticking to raw market right now? I am sending some orders to SGC, but it's select. I select my cards. I've always used all of the grading companies, BGS, PSA, SGC. I haven't been able to use HGA because I can't get in, but I've always used those three, even when PSA was the best, even when BGS was the best. And I remember when that was, but I've always used all three based on the price, the turnaround, and what I was sending in as far as what was I looking at for a profit margin? Did I care about getting 70% value of a PSA on an SGC if I got the SGC back, 4 months faster? It all depends on how quickly I wanted to move something and what I was comfortable with getting my profit margins on. So I use all three. And if you set yourself to just one, now if you're a collector or just a super high-end investor and you just want to use PSA, that's fine. But if you're trying to just move stuff in and out, keep inventory going in and out, always having something to sell, being happy with, decent profit as opposed to great profit, being happy with any profit, it's different for everybody. But you can use each grading company to your advantage based on what you want to do as an individual for your cards. Who do I have advancing in the finals of the Champions League? Whatever happened to Mbappe that I purchased from overseas? I still have that Mbappe Topps Chrome Raw. It's still a little bit damaged. It's got like a small dimple on the back. It's in my raw card box. Even now, it may be worth getting that graded because even if it came back as an 8, because that's the only thing that's wrong with it, it would probably be worth it. At the time that I bought it, it was dirt cheap. Well, not dirt cheap, but like $100. Champions League finals, I liked Man City. I liked Man City going in. That was the team I picked going in. I had bought a bunch of Phil Foden stuff, which is really spiked and is sitting at PSA, doing me no good at the moment. And probably going to be Real Madrid's playing. That was Real. I can't remember who the other two teams are. Real Madrid is playing somebody, but I feel like Man City's going to win it. That's why the only team that's sticking in my head. They're going to be PSG and go on and win it, I believe. Do I have the same profit margin thoughts on all cards, or does it depend on what I paid, timing? Yeah, it's all that stuff. It's what I paid. It's what the actual card is. Is it just a base raw card, or is it an on-card auto patch or something? Timing. Do I need these cards back by the NFL playoffs, or can I afford to let these go till next year? It's all different things like that. And I might even have multiples of the same card, which I do. I have 3 premier level select base rookies of Kyler Murray. And more than likely, I'll submit a couple of those to SGC and 1 or 2 of them to PSA when they reopen. Because I'd like to have a couple of those back before the season starts. So I'm going to have to go with SGC. And, whether I do 1 or 2 and the other will go to PSA, whether it's 1 or 2, because I don't mind having them into the season or even after the season. And because I bought them raw at a decent price. So even with a $35 grading fee from SGC, I paid about $30 for the card. So $35 through SGC and a group submission, I'm looking at $65 investment. And I believe that even in an SGC 10, that's like a $200, $250 card because it's like a $400 card in a PSA. So I'm still happy with that amount of profit. It would be more if I did it with PSA, but I'm going to have to wait longer. I can get some of that money rolled into something else. Sean says he grabbed some of his comics from his parents this weekend. Death of Superman. I saw that at a flea market the other day. I was actually looking at it. Batman Nightfall series, Spawn #1. May send some in for grading. Make sure they're really 9.8s on your Spawn, especially your Spawn #1. They made a lot of that book. It's kind of like when you look at early 90s, unless you just want to get them slabbed for collection purposes, which is perfectly fine. Just remember you're going to have to pay for these grading fees and wait to get your books back. It's just a lot. Some of those books, like Spawn #1 especially, was just so massively printed. Unless you have it in a newsstand. If you have it in a newsstand, it's a little bit better. Justin Fields. Man, I was looking at that today, and I'm not down on Justin Fields, but I believe Chicago gave up too much to move up from, they move up from 20 to 12. I just feel like they gave up a lot to make that move. Would I send Tom Brady rookie cards to anyone other than PSA? If you're sending them in for investment potential, no. If you're sending them in for personal collection, go with the slab and company that you like the best. Because Tom Brady's long term. You don't care when you get your Tom Brady cards back, basically. There's nothing really that can hurt his value. You're probably going to stash those for the next, 5 to 10 years. I'm not really sure what your plans are for them. So that's really going to dictate it. But if you don't mind, if those are long-term holds, then just send them to PSA. What's up, Neo, man? Thanks for joining the live chat. Neo's saying all comics all the time. That's not a bad statement. I mean, guys, right now, comic book market, I think it's just getting started. Some books have really spiked up, but there's a lot of comic books out there that are still way overlooked at really good prices. Just think about the card market 18 months ago and put the comic book market, the current nowadays comic book market, in the same ballpark. And we're not going to talk about comic books all night tonight or anything like that, because we are here to talk about cards. But if you're just looking for investments and collectibles and fun stuff, look at some comic books. I had 2 comic books come in the mail today. One of them I opened. It's just a Doctor Strange #1. Not super significant. It's blurry because of the green screen, but this would probably be like his 3rd book you would want, because he has first appearance in the Strange Tales. Then he has first solo title, Strange Tales 169, which I do have that in an 8.5. And then this is just his first single issue comic #1, 25-cent comic. So it is old. This one's really, really good. It's getting sent in. I bought it off a comic book auction, which brings me, I want to question you guys. The comic book community, if you guys haven't noticed, they do auctions. They do auctions where you can go and buy books. They'll have a panel of 4 or 5 people live streaming, doing auctions with books. They got buy it nows. They do actual auctions where people bid in the comments and things like that. Is that something that the card community would like to see? I know me as a buyer and a seller, I would love to see a panel of people that I could trust doing YouTube sports card auctions and giving people a chance to get some deals without using FeeBay and, things like that. And I don't know, just a chance to get some cards out there at good deals, because that's how I find a lot of my comics. I just don't know if that's something that anybody would be interested in. And that's not me trying to come on YouTube and sell you guys my cards. I'm just wondering, if there was 5 or 6 YouTubers that put together an auction, is that something that anybody would be interested in doing? I'm just putting that out there, and this could be way off. I'm just curious to know, because I love the comic book auctions. I wish I could find people doing sports card auctions. I would buy sports cards off YouTube auctions. For some reason, the sports card community just doesn't do it. But I think it would be a good thing, especially if you were able to, especially if you were able to get good deals from people that trust, avoid fees, taxes, all the stuff that comes with it. Basically like a virtual card show, except you just have what the people are selling. I don't know. Let me know what you guys think about that, honestly. Even if I can't see it in your comments here, drop it in the actual comments for the live stream so I can go back and read everybody's individual thoughts on something like that. Because to me, it just seems like it would be fun just to see what people are selling, even if I wasn't bidding. And I would probably bid on a lot of stuff. So Matt says Pittsburgh does that. I watch Pittsburgh sometime. I haven't seen an auction. I'll have to check that out. Steven asks if I'm buying the Berserker comic. I haven't. I do know it's the Keanu Reeves helped write the story, and he was also probably the character is kind of like based after him, like somebody that he came up with. So, I haven't bought any yet though, because I'm not into the super modern stuff. The modern comic books confuse me a little bit because there's a lot of variants and things out there, and they have to be really, really high grade. It's just like buying a modern basketball card. You don't want it in an 8. So like in a comic book, it's kind of the same thing. If you're buying a comic book that's newsstand coming out, it's only a month or so old, it's got to be flawless coming off the newsstand, unless you're just buying it for reading purposes. Ziggy Sports Cards says he's a normal dude. Ziggy, you changed your picture. But Ziggy says he's a normal dude. Jeff says yes on auctions. Ziggy, what do y'all think of PSA and the turnaround times? Is this Ziggy? Is this Ziggy No Ziggy, or is this a different Ziggy? I think it's a different one. PSA turnaround times right now are brutal. I have an order. Actually, but they're moving. PSA orders are moving, at least from my standpoint. I had one in the grading phase for what seemed like 3 or 4 months, and then it was in quality check 2. It flew right by assembly and quality check 1, but it's been sitting in quality check 2 for about 3 or 4 days. So that should be shipping to me anytime, and that's a good order. I will be doing a video on that reveal because it's a good order. But yeah, guys, I see lots of comments coming in about the auctions, but put it in the comments so I can actually get a good feel for what you guys think about it, because I'm not going to be able to see all these comments. And if I read them and look at them, I'm going to miss questions and things like that. Jason Tatum's tough. Just because I don't know what's going to happen with the Celtics, and they're my favorite team. He blew up for 60 the other night, but he needs to be more consistent. People aren't talking about Tatum as much as they were last year, but that goes the same case for a lot of players. And maybe that could be because the Celtics were in the Eastern Finals last year, championship, and this year they're looking to try to make a play-in game. So we'll see what happens with Tatum. Just doesn't seem like the buzz around Tatum isn't as high as it was last year. Target's going to have card scalpers arrested. I'm not sure. I don't do the retail hunt. The only time I buy retail is if I walked in the store and it was just happened to be sitting there, which we all know that doesn't happen, especially anymore. But yeah, so I don't know. I don't follow a lot of the headlines on the retail stuff. I just don't like to get caught up in it. Mark, Tatum and SGA are definitely in your books as underrated. They are a bit underrated right now. Gilgeous-Alexander is a sneaky buy right now. It's always good to buy somebody when they're completely off the radar or injured or something. We just hope that the modern basketball market recovers. That's all. Because if it doesn't, then a lot of these cards are just going to stay down. And we probably won't see the big peaks that we've seen in the past, across the board. It'll be select few players. I think that Giannis, and I know a lot of people have talked about him being overrated, even myself, but Giannis right now, he's expensive but could be sneaky because he's playing really great, and the Bucks are looking legit. They're looking more legit than they've ever looked. Is this This has got to have something to do with Lando in it. If you entered a chicken eating contest where the losers lost their entire sports card collection and you had to pick up one of these guys as your teammate or partner in the contest, who would I choose and why out of Carson Wentz, Lou Williams, Orlando Calrissian? In a chicken eating wing contest, man, I think every time I answer, I'm going to go with Lando because he's going to come through in the end, especially when it comes to being clutch. Lando is more clutch than Carson Wentz and Lou Williams. Trigger Finger, you're going to like this because I have my eBay watch list, guys. I haven't been buying a lot, like I said. Like my eBay watch list has kind of been blank. Anything that I'm buying, I'm looking for off of groups. I am going to the Dallas card show, so I want to have a nice bankroll to go to that with, or to looking for some targets. One of the only things on my eBay watch list is Star Wars number 43 comic book in a 9.8, first appearance of Lando Calrissian. I kid you not. Thoughts on Jaren Jackson Jr. right now? Short term, long term, stay away. I'm staying away from Jaren Jackson Jr. A lot of his hype has come and gone. I don't like Memphis. So to me, he doesn't have any short-term appeal. And long-term, he's just way too injury-prone to the point to where I don't know if many people are going to have faith in buying his cards back off of you if you were to invest now. That's me, though, if you like him. Prodigy, you'll be in the Dallas card show too. Are you going to have a table, or are you going to go there? Are you going to go there to buy some stuff? Because look, keep your eyes out. Because me, Brad, the comeback card investor, Dustin, the personal finance dad, and Boris from the hobby box, we're going to all be together at least at one point or the other because we're all staying in the same place, not together, not in the same rooms, but we're staying in the same hotel, and we're all going to be, the four of us have actually booked our flights and stuff to where we're going to all be there at the same time so that we can do some stuff together. Send him a Lando comic. What's this guy say? All right, Paul Drown. He's a clown, guys. Flipping Steve is not going to lose a chicken wing eating contest. He's a beast. Ate 10 of the hottest wings in the state. Okay, so this is true, but this has nothing to do with sports cards. I work with this guy, Paul Drown, and he talks a big game. He's a big smack talker, guys. This guy, Paul, he talks a lot of trash. So we go to a place at the beach that has the hottest wings in the state. You know, he's like, I'm going to eat all 10. He pays the bartender $20 to bring him mild wings, and he's faking like he's eating the hot wings, and then he gets busted. And then I got pissed and was like, you know what? I'm going to show you how it's done. And I ate all 10 of the super hot wings and won the prize and all that. And all because he couldn't live up to the hype. So I had to do it. End of story. True story, though. JJ Bama asked if the Wonder Bread 70 Star Wars cards are still fire. Some of them have come down in price, but they had to. I mean, the Luke Skywalker's got up to $1,500. They've now come back down some, a little bit affordable. They're still a little bit pricey. I still like the Obi-Wan card because his show hasn't come out yet. I still think it's a good buy. If you like the cards, they're down a little bit, but they're not cheap. They're nowhere near where they started at. So they're kind of like everything else in the market where they hit huge spikes. However, they have had a pullback, just like anything else, a natural correction. However, just a minor market correction, which means the next time that there's a hype around one of those characters, it'll spike up even higher. The CN Comedy, Steve, what's going on with the card market overall? I can't seem to sell anything. Selling is tough. It is tough right now. My next video, guys, I was thinking about doing. I've been selling some modern basketball. I've been able to make some money. I've been lucky because my timing of when I got in was so key. Sometimes getting in is the biggest factor. When you got in is the biggest factor on whether you profit or not. I was going to do a video of, called selling into the dip and show you guys some profits that I've made and a loss that I took because they just happened. And another card that I sold for some profit, but now looking back at it, I probably would have rather just held that card long term because I didn't quite make the type of profit that I would have liked to have made off of it. But stuff is selling. The right stuff is selling. Buy it nows aren't selling. Everybody wants an auction because that's where everybody thinks they're going to get their deals from. So people are just playing out these 5 and 7 day auctions. They're staying away from buy it nows. They're really lowballing the buy it nows, even if you put up a fair buy it now. So some buy it nows deserve to be lowballed, but the fair buy it nows you should take. But some people just are lowballing everything. It is as tough. It's gotten tougher. The reason why it seems so difficult is because this time last year it was so easy. It was just so easy to sell anything to anybody that now the buyers are being more selective and the sellers aren't wanting to come off of their really high-end stuff because they don't want to sell into the dip unless they overprice it to buy it now. Dennis Rodman rookie, over or underrated opinion. I mean, it's Dennis Rodman. It's his rookie. I mean, fairly rated, I guess. I would have to look at prices on it. If you're talking about, if you mean overvalued or undervalued, that's different than saying overrated or underrated. I don't think having a Dennis Rodman rookie card in your collection is a bad thing. So by that standpoint, I'm not going to say that it's underrated. I mean, having a nicely graded Dennis Rodman rookie, if you're just looking to collect it and you collect basketball cards and you like great players from the past, it's a great card to have. So from that aspect, it's not underrated. When you start talking about prices, then we're talking about overvalued, undervalued. Overvalued, undervalued is a completely different ballpark, a completely different discussion than overrated, underrated. Some people group those together, and that's a bad thing in my opinion, where you ask a big influencer, is this overrated or underrated? And they tend to speak from a value standpoint, and I think that they should clarify that when they're speaking. So, Ziggy, you're moving lots of cards, or you're moving lots, as in cards and lots? Yeah, Neo, buying is easy. People forget how hard selling can be. Yeah, you got to have the right cards right now because people are being picky on what they buy. It's not like this time last year. Again, I'll say it. It's like I'm, beating a dead horse. I've heard other people say that lately, but, I live around a horse track. People say it all the time. But anyway, yeah, you got to have the right stuff to sell right now. People have just gotten smarter, and they're just not going to buy every single base prism rookie of any old player because they have a decent game. The Bol Bol effect. We're not seeing the Bol Bol effect pop off like we were last year. The Bol Bol got mentioned in the live stream tonight, guys. There it is. So we still got the streak. The streak is still alive. Kobe's always going to be hot, but his stuff has come down. Now with the Hall of Fame induction, we all knew he was going into the Hall of Fame, so a lot of that stuff is baked into Kobe cards. However, a little bit of spotlight can never hurt, especially when Michael Jordan is inducting you. These are two of the hottest cards from, the February run-up, and they're two of the cards that have cooled off since then, where you could see a little bit of attention go back on Kobe and Jordan rookie cards based on the Hall of Fame coming up. However, it'll be short-lived. It's not something that's going to be like, hey, you got announced into the Hall. His cards are just going to go up, 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 up. You have to sell into that little bit of a window if you're looking to sell around the induction. But it's not going to be a lot because we all know that it's going to happen. So prices are baked into an extent. They may not be fully baked in, though, half-baked. Guys, it's impossible for me to see every single comment. They fly by. So if you guys want to ask something again, don't be afraid to put it back. I do got a box here, guys, because I usually come straight from work. I got a box today while I was gone. This is this like 2 comic books. I'm not 100% sure which ones they are. I bought them off of a YouTube auction. If you guys have any interest in seeing what these 2 comic books are, just put a thumbs up in the chat or something. And if enough people want to see, I'll open that here on the camera, or I'll just open it later when I'm done. Roma was better than Aikman. Dip in the market has also created an increase in bogus eBay returns. Knock on wood for myself, I haven't had any of those. I will tell you what I have had, and that is retracted bids. I've had 2 auctions that have had retracted bids, and the auctions are 5 to 7 days long, and some of them people will bid on them within the first 2 or 3 days, and then come day 4 or 5, I'll get a retracted bid notice. I don't know if people are just getting cold feet, if they're running out of money, if they found a better deal elsewhere. It could be multiple things. I don't know if it's necessarily a dip in the market, but I have seen more frequently lately retracted bids. Thoughts on Ronaldo 2014 Prism? The 9s went down to 200. Do you see them going back up close to 1,000? The 9s, no. The pop count is getting high, though. So the 9s were up around 1,000, and they actually came down to $100. When they came down to $100 on the Ronaldos, I did a video. A lot of people were buying basketball, and actually the title of the video, if you go back and look, is while everyone's buying basketball, these are under the radar. And I pointed out the 9s of the Messis and the Ronaldos, and I bought a couple when they were at that $100 mark. They got back up to 250-ish, and I sold them off. So they may have come back down to 200, but even if you bought them when they basemented out at 100, you're doubling your money. So I don't look at them hitting that $1,000 mark. People in the soccer market are really loving the stickers and the actual rookies and stuff. The first Prism has kind of lost its luster a bit in the soccer market, just because the older stuff is actually cooler and more collectible, in my opinion, as well. I would much rather have a 2006 World Cup sticker PSA 9 of Ronaldo at $1,000 than a PSA 9 Prism from 2014. That's his first World Cup sticker. I showed that in a previous video. Right here's one. This is a PSA 9. We got a little bit of stardust on it from the green screen, but this is a PSA 9. But you can't tell, it's blurry, but I would rather have this at $1,000 than a PSA 9 2014 Prism. This is a legitimate first World Cup sticker from 2006 with a pop report below 40. So that's what you got to do. Should that have Prism card have ever been $1,000 when you got the 2006 first World Cup sticker, which is only also like 2 or 3 years from his rookie, maybe 4 years from his rookie? Much more rare, much more harder to get graded in a 9. When Bol Bol gets traded, he'll see a spike. Well, that's the case for any player. Whenever any player gets traded, they see a spike. I was just able to double my money on a bunch of Teddy Bridgewater cards because he got traded. So, yeah, you'll see a spike when anybody gets traded, not just Bol Bol. But here's the thing about Bol Bol, guys. He doesn't have the frame to have any kind of longevity in the NBA. He just doesn't. He can't get in for a guy that's going to have to play the type of position that he's going to have to play. He can't get in and bang around. Could you imagine him banging with Zion, for 40 minutes? It's just not going to happen. It's the proof is in the past. There's been many people with his build that have had talent throughout the years that are tall, slender players that don't have much build, and they just don't last. They just don't. And they are high draft picks and stuff like that, and you see them, it just doesn't work. For all you Bol Bol lovers, I hope that I'm wrong. That way you can make some money. I'm not invested in him at all, so I can't lose. So I hope that I'm wrong. Steve says he would like to see Bol Bol and Embiid playing together. I just don't know what that would do, Steve. What would that do? Bol Bol and Embiid playing together. They're kind of the same position, or I mean, are you going to put Bol Bol at power forward or at center? I mean, that's Embiid's territory. I don't think players like that would work together very well. He says it'll be the next Twin Towers. Hey, the NBA today is a shooter's game as well. The NBA is a shooter's game. You don't see many dominant big men anymore. You see Embiid, you see Jokic. You can consider Giannis a big man if you want. Blew up for 47 points against the Nets, but the other night. But I just feel like you know, it's a shooter's game nowadays. The big man is few and far between. So if you're not a super duper talented big man like the ones I just mentioned, you're just not going to have a lot of value in the market. Man, here we go again. Did you guys want me to open the comic books up or not? Let's see. So Steve, what's more important to grade? What's more important to me, grade or pop? I know grade has to be good to sell, but if the market's flooded, its value is lower. I've been purchasing a lot of vintage the last 20 years based on pop. A graded card in a 10 is going to always sell for more than a raw card, no matter how high the pop gets. You know, if a Zion PSA 10 hits 30,000 in the pop reports, which it very well may do that, I wouldn't be surprised. But if it does, it's not, the raw cards still aren't going to be worth what a PSA 10 is worth. It's just not. With a PSA 10, you know what you're getting. What it will just do is just hurt the value of the PSA 10, and it'll almost probably make PSA 9s worth less than raw cards. It'll drive the market of 9s down significantly, in my opinion. This doesn't just apply to Zion. It applies to all modern that's getting heavily populated. When you have more 10s than you do 9s, I believe that creates a problem for the 9s. Ratios as well. When you looked at the Luka PSA 10 in a high pop report, and the ratio of getting a 10 was nearly 70%, or a gem rate was nearly 70%, it was a very easy grade, which in my opinion makes 9s not so valuable. It's almost better to buy raw, because if you're going to get graded, you have a 70% chance of getting a 10, especially if you can look at that card before you buy it. Now, vintage of the last 20 years. So you've been purchasing a lot of vintage last 20 years based on pop. So you mean you've been buying vintage for the last 20 years, or you've been buying cards from the previous 20 years, like from 2000, or you've been buying vintage for 20 years? I'm not sure. Are HGA cards holding 80% of PSA value? The last time I checked, HGA was sitting right around BGS 9.5 value. So wherever BGS is sitting in comparison to PSA, HGA is right there, close with that. So you've been sending cards at 5 per week to HGA, trying to determine where to send soccer stickers. Thoughts on CSG? Soccer stickers, if you're going to go with an alternate company, go with SGC. They're still reputable, especially in the soccer stickers and the old stuff. And a lot of that stuff you're going to be able to sell overseas. You're not going to have a lot of slab competition. A lot of the stuff that I like to send to SGC is stuff that doesn't have slab competition, if that makes sense. Not seller competition, but slab competition means there's just not many of this item graded, period. Whether it be PSA, BGS, SGC, you just don't see many slabs of such card. So regardless of the slab that it's in, it's going to cause the card to get a premium just because you don't see a certain card slabbed by anybody. I did that with a lot of Fleer Marvel Metal, which is just common print run 1995 Fleer Marvel Metal. I got them slabbed up in SGC slabs because the black looked really sweet on the foil. It was cheap to get them graded, and there was none graded by like any grading company. So when I put them on eBay, I got decent value. I got decent profit and value for what I was selling because there wasn't slab competition. It's not like I was trying to sell my SGC slab up against a bunch of the same card in PSA slabs. When it comes to soccer stickers, as far as encapsulating, BGS and SGC are best. PSA, at least they didn't used to bag them. They just slabbed them, and sometimes they would get in there crooked. Sometimes they would fall through the little line holders. For instance, I'll pull this Ronaldo out again. You see the little lines that surround the sticker. Sometimes in some instances, you'll see where it slid down and is in the bottom of the case and things like that. Not this one, but some of them that just break loose because they're not bagged and sealed up in there. I'll see if I can find an old BGS soccer sticker to show you. There we go. Well, this one's not old, but this is a Lewandowski. But it's got a plastic bag completely around the sticker, vacuum sealed within the holder there so it won't slide or go anywhere. And I just pulled that one by luck. Even this old Johan Cruyff is in a it's bagged up and vacuum sealed within the thing so it doesn't slide free. Yeah, Flippin' Steve's got a couple old soccer items. Now, see, for instance, this. So here, this Zidane. See this Zidane first World Cup sticker? See how it's in there kind of cockeyed? This is in a PSA 8. Now, this is his first World Cup, and France won that year. So it's a pretty significant sticker. But you see how it's in there kind of sideways from PSA. This first World Cup Zico sticker. It's got a big gap between the top. It's just not kind of centered in there. PSA just kind of puts their stickers in there, not as good as the other companies, I don't think. Rage, what's going on? Ziggy says BGS is the best slab with subs and bag for protection. Yeah, BGS does a good job on their slabbing their cards. Their slabs are nice and sturdy, and they do protect them. We're going to open these comic books up. I've been buying stuff off YouTube auctions. I'm not 100% sure what's coming and when. I know what I've been buying. But yeah, look, I bought this off a YouTube auction. They sent it to me priority. I mean, these guys ship good. I've never had a bad experience yet. Look, they wrap the stuff all up in bubble wrap. Like they package way better than half the people you buy cards off of eBay. And got 2 graded comics. Did I watch the interview on Pittsburgh today with the new grading company? I did not. Do you know which grading company that one is? Because I've seen a couple out there. I saw one on Ziggy's channel, on Ziggy Knows channel, which I believe was TGA, the Grading Authority. And I've also watched one in development or developed by Carson Cruz, which is like Purex Grading, I believe. I hope I'm not getting the name wrong. Got some slabs here. They make this stuff hard to get into. But what was the name of the grading company? Do you know? I have been watching and seeing some news on some of the ones that have been being created. Somebody wants to drop that in the comments if they know. So Pure Grade X is who was on Pittsburgh today. Because I have talked with Carson on Instagram and stuff about that. PMN says anybody that sends anything of value to these new companies with the intention of keeping are idiots. Well, I'm sure when all the companies got their start, like I remember when PSA started, everybody said the same thing about PSA. Everybody was like, graded cards, this is ridiculous. Then BGS came along and they're like, oh, this is ridiculous. You're right. I probably wouldn't send super high-end stuff off there off the bat, but you could send some stuff there just to test it out and see what it's like, you know, and then see if you like it, see if it has integrity in the grades, anything like that. You know, that's your, you know, you don't have to. You can stick with whatever grading company you like. It doesn't hurt to try out other things. Having options can never be a bad thing unless the options themselves are bad. But unless you try something out, you don't know if it's good or it's bad. You're just basically speaking from a closed-minded opinion. If you don't try something and you give an opinion on it without trying it. I guess it doesn't apply to all things because I've never eaten dog shit, but I'm pretty sure that it's not good. So, but I mean, you know, we're talking about grading cards. Oh yeah, so I got some old Marvel Superheroes Presents in a 6.0. This is like the first appearance of Captain Marvel. And this one's in a 4.5. Is like the first appearance of Carol Danvers. So these comic books are pretty collectible, even in the low grades. Got a super good deal on them. They're only like $120 a piece. So I was like, what the heck, man? I want these old Captain Marvel first appearances, even in lower grades, because it's from 1967. It was only $120. Best comic book value-wise for a beginner or noob to start with? I'm not really sure. I'm not like when it comes to the comic books, I'm not really good at giving advice because I'm still learning myself. As far as, you know, bang for your buck, I do know good books to target. Any of the Amazing Spider-Man keys. But you know, they're kind of pricey already. You know, maybe a First Carnage may still be obtainable. A Spider-Man 361 in a 9.6. You know, 9.8s are going to be ultimately what you want, but 9.6s can be good deals. They do hold value, kind of like PSA 9s, just because everybody can't afford 9.8s. But something like that, like a spec book that hasn't completely reached its potential yet. But Spider-Man keys, X-Men keys, first appearances of people, you know, it's just tough to say, you know, bang for your buck, you know, as a newbie to start with comic books. When I got back in, the first comic books I was buying was Star Wars stuff, but that's because I liked Star Wars. So it had to be something that I liked. And then I bought some Spider-Man because I like Spider-Man. I picked up a few X-Men issues because I like X-Men. Avengers, Captain America stuff. I love Captain America. He's like one of the GOATs. I don't think you can ever go wrong with buying a nice Captain America book or Iron Man book. Spawn 1 is cheap and iconic, but the thing about Spawn number 1 is that there's a bazillion of them printed. So unless you have one in a newsstand or a 9.8 already graded, and you can probably find 9.8 graded on eBay for probably reasonable prices because they're kind of like the, you know, junk wax era, as we call it in sports cards. It's called the Dark Ages in comic books. So you got like Golden Age, Silver Age, Bronze Age, and then you got like the Dark Ages. The comic book community actually calls their junk wax era the Dark Ages. Have I tried a SGC eBay listing theory? I'm not sure. but eBay has an SGC option now on the grading company section when listing. Oh, they've always had that option on there. And I always use that option. I just would not, in the description, I would throw PSA at the very end for search engine purposes, but I haven't done it since that video. Not going to do it. I don't need to. That Luca that was delisted by eBay, I relisted with a new description. I sold it, still made decent money on it, was happy. A buyer got it. I guess they were happy, already left me positive feedback. So, in the, when you go into item specifics, there was always the option to choose SGC. I've always done that. Let's see. First comic go by be the death of Lando Calrissian. I can't wait till it comes out. I don't think it's come out yet. And Lando is immortal. Thoughts on storing cards in binders? I don't do it. I mean, unless it's just old common stuff. Because I bought a bunch of Marvel cards from a comic book shop. A comic book shop had purchased a large comic book collection. I went in there. I was like, you got any Marvel cards? And they sold me 2 gigantic binders for $100. And as I was going through them to find some ones that I thought that would be good for grading, some of them were really hard to get out of the binders because the gloss or the chrome or whatever that was on the surface of the card actually would stick to the plastic sheets inside the binders. I have a hard time getting them out, sometimes to the point to where it would damage the surface of the card a little bit. So over time, having those things in binders just isn't good. It's not good for the card. We got CSG grading. I haven't used CSG. CSG is top of the line in comic book grading. A lot of people don't like the look of their slab. People will use them because of turnaround times and price. What it's going to take is more and more of these other grading companies of their cards and their slabs hitting the market. The more and more that of them that hit the market, the more and more buying and selling of these that you see, the more and more common it becomes. Their values will start to go up. But right now, because you mainly see PSA, BGS, you don't even see a whole lot of SGC. They're the ones selling. You need to see more CSG slabs. If you have to ask me what I think about it, then more than likely it's not popular in the market yet. Because we all are still asking questions about it. Not many people ask me, what do I think about PSA? They will ask me, what do I think about PSA prices? What do I think about PSA turnaround times? What do I think about grade integrity? Don't ask me any things like that, but people just won't ask me in general, what do I think about PSA? But I get a lot of, what do I think about CSG? What do I think about HGA? And it's because they're new and we all still got lots of questions. And until we actually use them, we can't give a full 100% opinion on them. I haven't used CSG and I haven't used HGA. I haven't been able to get into them. I did buy an HGA card. I like the quality of the slab. I like the looks of the slab, but I can't speak about their service because I haven't got to use their service myself yet. Steve, at this point, better to wait until the offseason to add Steph Curry rookie cards for PC or buy now during the dip? He just isn't cooling off. Well, I was talking about some cards that I had sold earlier. I sold a Steph Curry rookie. It sold yesterday morning. I put it at auction, which was probably a mistake. The auction didn't get driven up as much as I would like for it to have gone up to. And I feel like I would rather still just have this card. I haven't shipped it because the buyer hasn't paid, and it has been a day. So we'll see what happens with that. If I have the card here, I'll show you which one it is. So this is a Steph Curry Upper Deck, first edition, BGS 9.5. The subgrades are 9.5, 9.5, 10, and 10. So it's a 0.5 away from being a 10 pristine. The subgrades can't get any higher without it being a pristine. So 10, 10, 9.5, 9.5. I bought this about a year ago for about $250. I put it at auction for 5 days. I got $710 for it. To me, I felt like it should have pushed $1,000. It didn't. I'm happy because I made profit, but I just felt like there was a lot more potential in this card. So there are Steph Curry rookies out there to find. Believe me, I'm a seller that just regrets selling one, even though I made, almost $500 profit off of it. To me, right now, I would rather have the card than the $500 profit, but I sold it. Can't hold on to everything. That's the way that it is. People just overlooked the slab. They just, if this was a PSA 10, it would have got me close to $2,000 probably. It got me about $1,800. I've seen recent sales on a PSA 10 go anywhere from 15 to 2,000, 15, 16, 18 on a high one. And with these grades on it, I just thought that it would draw more than $700. It just didn't. That's the way it works sometimes. If I would have put it on and buy it now for $1,200, it would have just sat there because nobody will buy it now right now. They just won't. They're waiting for dummies like me to put their high-end cards on auction so they can get them cheap. That's what happened. Like I said, I still made money on it, so it's not a loss. But I would rather have the card. Yeah, JJ Bama says buy it now. It's better than auctions usually. That's usually the case. But buy it nows are a tough sell right now unless they're cheap. Unless they're really, really cheap, or unless you put a buy it now at about the price that auctions are ending at, then people just aren't buying. They're just not. People are willing to wait for the auction right now because there's nothing driving the market to make people want to buy in a rush. Nothing's making people want to impulse buy right now. Everybody's got this I can wait mentality because nothing's spiking. Even on your big players that are popular right now, like Jokic and Embiid, people aren't buying now at higher prices. People don't have FOMO at the moment. They just don't. So they're just waiting out auctions and waiting for auctions. And that's making it difficult to get max dollar on your cards. I forgot about the Top Shot drop and got in on it 10 minutes late. I was like 200,000 in line out of 140,000 packs. I was like 250,000. So I didn't even worry about it. That's kind of where my mind has kind of been on Top Shot. I missed the drop because I really wasn't paying attention. So, Top Shot just doesn't fully have my attention at the moment. HT Sports hoping CSG can increase in popularity and give PSA a real run for the top spot. AT Sport, I wish any grading company could. I wish SGC could. BGS, they've fallen off the planet. Nobody's even heard from BGS. I don't know. It was like, BGS, where are you? Nobody has heard an update or anything either, or I've missed it. They're still grading comics because CBCS, which is another grading company, they're like the second to best grading company in comic books, is owned by Beckett. And their turnaround times on their comic book grading is on point, like super fast. Like lots of people are really starting to use Beckett's comic book grading company, CBCS, to grade comics because the turnaround times are way faster, to where CGC, the PSA of comic book grading, has fallen behind on these turnaround times. Like PSA is the card world. It's a whole nother dimension, but it's the same thing happening in that market where you have CGC, the PSA falling behind, and an upstart company gaining popularity because people love their turnaround times and their value and their product, and it's owned by Beckett. So Beckett's able to keep up with that. However, in the card market, Beckett's nowhere to be found. But to that point, yes, I would love to see all of the grading companies get some popularity because it would give all of us more options, because at the end of the day, for at least probably 70% of us, we want the highest value on our card when it comes to getting a return, as opposed to just having it slabbed for collectability. I mean, let's be honest, we're collectors, but the market is driven by money, just like everything else in this country. So, unfortunately, we just wish that everybody could have a comparable value or comparable price in the market so that we could use all of these options freely and without worry of, hey, am I going to get my money's worth? HT says Tua undervalued. Sean says at grading high school, PSA is the star, SGC is the party boys, CGC is the butterface girl, HEA are the computer nerds. Ricardo says he likes to do auctions, feel like the market sets the price, and if you get those competitive bidders, then you might get a premium price. This was the case last year. Okay, last basketball season, I had cards set at buy it nows with best offers, and people were giving me lowball offers to the point to where it was annoying me. I was like, if they're going to lowball offer me, I'm just going to put this at auction. And then I would put it at auction, and I would get more for the card than my original buy it now price. I had a Luka Revolution PSA 10 I bought for $150. Going into the bubble, I listed it on eBay for $550. Buy it now or best offer. I kept getting $300 and $350 offers when the card was selling all day for $500. I was hoping for somebody to offer me like $450 when I was selling at $550, and then I would meet them at $500 and make them a fair deal. But I kept getting these $300, $350 lowball offers. I removed it from buy it now. I put it at auction, and it sold for over $700 at auction. So that's an example of when the market is hot, of where you can get bidders going competitive at a card to drive the value up. However, the market's not the same right now this time as it was last year. So these buy it nows are not being bought at high prices, and the auctions just aren't getting driven. Because again, everybody feels like they can wait. There's no rush to buy cards at the moment. People don't feel like they're going to miss anything. Everybody talking about Waddle, people talking about Tua, talking about the Dolphins. Denisa Navarro says, Steve, what's up? What's the rest of the... You got my attention now. What's the rest of the question? Should we look into Jalen Hurts rookie cards? I think he has upside, for the right price. What do you think? Do you think the Eagles can be competitive? Ultimately, what's your end game on Jalen Hurts is what you got to ask yourself. Always ask yourself, what's your end game? Do I want to sell in the preseason? Do I want to sell hoping that he goes off and exceeds expectations and the Eagles do well in the East? Or do I want to hold Jalen Hurts because I believe 3 or 4 years from now, he's going to be one of the better quarterbacks in the league? So ask yourself when you're looking to get out of Jalen Hurts. And then that will let you know whether or not you should buy Jalen Hurts. When you sell high dollar cards on eBay, do you put any insurance or signature confirmation on the order? Well, those options, the buyer can put those options on there because they have the option to select that stuff. A lot of times, even if they don't, I will pay the extra definitely for the signature verification. Sometimes I send stuff priority, even if I only charge $3 for shipping. I will send an $8.50 priority package because I'm going to get verification on the delivery. I'm going to have at least a minimum amount of insurance or something on it. Tracking, all that. The postal service is going to take better care of it. It all depends on the card, on what I do. No, buy it now and cold market tends to be overpriced. Market is correcting and buy it now is lagging. Yeah, buy it nows are just really high right now. Even for me, myself, I know as a buyer, it's hard to find good auctions. And as a seller, it's hard to sell it, buy it nows. I mean, I'm still doing both. I haven't done as much buying recently, but when I was buying, it was hard to find auctions. And as a seller, I'm finding that I'm having to list in auctions to get bids or to get sales. Yes, Zizzy Tune, this would be correct. This would be correct. Do I think Star Stock, My Slabs, Alt, and other marketplaces can take share from FeeBay? Yeah, they can. I mean, if people are using them, then they're already taking a share from eBay. People are definitely using Star Stock. So, yes, it's already happening. If, My Slabs is there, it wouldn't be there if it wasn't getting some kind of business. So, yes, they are already taking from eBay. Now, to what extent, how much, we don't know because we don't see the actual numbers. But I know if I go and spend $100 on Star Stock, that's $100 that I'm not spending on eBay. And that goes for all markets. If I go and I buy a $500 comic book, that's a $500 card I'm not buying. If I buy a $1,000 football card, that's a $1,000 basketball card I'm not buying. If I go and spend $300 on Top Shot, that's $300 I'm not spending on tangible cards. So when you're looking at money being moved around in all markets of collectibles, sports cards might be lagging and dipping a little bit right now, but the collectible market as a whole, whether it be action figures or vintage toys, which are action figures to some extent, or cards or comics or whatever someone finds collectible, coins, the collectible market as a whole is up. It's just up. Now it's your individual niches within the collectibles markets that are up, down, up, down, up, down, based on people where they're moving their money around at any given time. Dan asks, in my opinion, what will it take for the next huge bump like we had in the past year? I don't think it's going to happen. Unless it happens in cycles where it happens again in another 10 years or something. I don't think we're going to see a huge bump because last year people were just buying everything. They were just buying everything. And the reason being is because the stuff that people actually would have loved to be buying just got so overpriced and so out of touch for many people that if you wanted to get a piece of the card market, you had to buy lower tier players because you couldn't afford upper tier players. I want a piece of the card market. I'm coming in and I'm new. I've got $100 budget. I'm coming in. Oh, I want to buy a LeBron. Oh, wait, I can't buy a LeBron. Oh, I want to buy a Giannis. Oh, I can't buy a Giannis. I want to buy a Kawhi. Oh, I can't buy a Kawhi. Oh, I can't buy a Luka. Well, what can I buy with my $100? Oh, well, I can buy De'Aaron Fox or something like that. So it was kind of like a trickle down effect of what is the first thing that I can afford? And because you had so many budgets coming into the market from high to low budget, it was just okay. People were coming in at the what can I afford entry level. And so it was driving the price of players who should have probably not been driven the way that they were. Carter says, still have the ability to not pay sales tax and have a write-off for the business. I believe Comeback Card Investor has a video on it. Yeah, a lot of people have been talking about it. We're not 100% sure what's going to happen with this whole tax thing and things like that. But, with me, it's kind of I'll cross that bridge when I get there type thing. Rage says, this market is a Sea Dragon ride at the state fair. Got to ride the ups and downs. Yep, annually. The market, the biggest thing in this market is timing of when you're buying and when you're selling. That's going to determine whether or not you're making good and bad investments. At times, I could tell you that let's take the best player or the hottest player in the league right now, or just talk about LeBron. At times, LeBron is a bad investment, and at times, LeBron is a good investment. You can't just say, is LeBron a good or a bad investment? It's all based around the timing of it. And is this a buy or sell? It's all based around the timing of it. A card might be a sell today, and in 2 months, it might be a buy again already. You might be buying the exact same card that you just sold. Yank says, in my opinion, Justin Fields. We must be talking about some quarterbacks. I see, not Wilson. Jets are a career killer. The Jets, I can agree with that. Did they get a new head coach yet? Please don't tell me Adam Gase is still there. He is a quarterback killer. Costa Rica Collector, 172 watching, only 42 likes. Come on, hit that like. You guys can hit the like if you want. It would be cool. It would help. We are up to 176 viewers tonight, guys. I almost didn't live stream tonight. I was like, you know what? I think everybody's getting tired of my Monday live stream. I'm going to take a week off, and then maybe I'll come back next week and people will want to watch. And I actually was talking to my mom about it, and my mom was like, please live stream. That's one of the things I look forward to every week. I want to see you. This is my mom's way of seeing me because I don't see her that much. And so I was like, okay. Hit the nail on the head. We used to be, it would sell for $25. Now it sells for $65. Everyone seems frantic to buy. Yep. Can't stop streaming. I had 1 week when I was on myself, and then I was on with Dustin, and then I was on with Brad, and then I was back on myself, and then I was on with Dakota over at Sports Cards Anonymous. I was like on every night. I almost did the tour, the rock and roll tour t-shirt. I'm thinking about making stickers of my logo, guys. What do you guys think? I'm thinking about making stickers that's just the FS. See the FS between the flipping Steve? With just the FS on like a black hat. I might make myself a hat. But I might make stickers that just say FS on them. Or should I get stickers that say the whole words? Not a picture of my face, but just the whole words. And I just want to send them out to people. It's not going to be something I'm selling or anything. I just want to give away stickers, send them with cards that I sell or with my giveaways. You could stick it on your card box. You could throw it in the trash, you know, whatever. Let me see. With the cost, Phil asked if the cost of grading going up, I would think the market for raw cards will drop. Thoughts? It's kind of balanced out because you have some people who believe that PSA is going to open in a reasonable time for bulk orders, and they're going to be at a reasonable price. And so these people are loading up on raw cards because raw cards did dip. So they're like, oh, raw cards have dipped due to grading. I'm going to start buying raw cards and stockpiling for when PSA reopens. But what that has done is they themselves have caused that market to come back up and balance out because it did dip. People saw it as an opportunity to stockpile raw cards. And then the market said, no, we're not going to let this dip happen. Not if people are going to continue to buy to get graded. This is where we draw the line in the sand, pretty much what the market said. And now raw cards are still fairly holding decent value for raw, you know, in comparison to what they've always held. Dan says, what is the better long-term play, 80s football or 90s football? This doesn't come down to a general year or a general era or a general decade. I'm going to say this just comes down to the players. You know, if you're talking 80s football to 90s football, and you take somebody from like 81, say Art Monk, who was a Hall of Famer, I believe he's a Hall of Famer, great receiver from the Redskins. You take an 81 tops Art Monk and you have it graded, and you get a PSA 8 or better. Or you take somebody from the 90s, like a 1996 SP Authentic of Terrell Owens, or you take a even late 80s, like an 89 Michael Irvin and a PSA 10. I mean, what is going to be the better play there? More than likely the Irvin or the Owens, because we're talking about a player base as opposed to actually what year they're from. You know, 90s, you have the Emmitt Smith. The mid-90s stuff hasn't caught. Mid-90s stuff right now, I believe, is undervalued. I believe that's one of the markets that's overlooked. There's a lot of good rookies in the mid-90s between like 93 and 96 that just don't have a lot of value. Jerome Bettis, Marshall Faulk, Marvin Harrison, Terrell Owens, who I just mentioned, players like Eddie George. There was just a lot of good players in the mid-90s. Now, quarterbacks were few and far between because, you know, other than Brett Favre, who was a rookie in 91, there wasn't a lot of quarterbacks in the mid-90s that were long-term franchise quarterbacks. You had Mark Brunell and Drew Bledsoe, who had some good years, but the quarterbacks the guys from the mid 80s like Elway and Marino and Jim Kelly and those and Steve Young, those great quarterbacks, they still played through the 90s. So you had, and then guys in the late 80s like Troy Aikman, who came in 89, and in Brett Favre in 91, those guys played through the 90s. There wasn't a lot of, until 1998 when Peyton Manning was drafted, the quarterbacks through the 90s weren't very strong from the rookie classes because those veteran quarterbacks carried over from the 80s. Lots of them. I can't name them all. I'm sure there's tons more that you guys will talk about, but I just can't sit here and name all of them. Tom Brady's having another new documentary on ESPN. It's 10 plus years. Do you see a docuseries? But no, I don't see a doc. Tom Brady doesn't need a docuseries. He just won another Super Bowl. Most of the time a docuseries does something for someone who hasn't had the spotlight on them for a while and just needs to give people a reminder of this person's greatness. Michael Jordan, a lot of people who never got to see him play because they weren't born yet, they were shown how great Michael Jordan was. And a lot of people who got to watch him play, but have been collecting all this new modern stuff, were reminded of how great that he was. Even me. And I watched him play. So that documentary did wonders for him. However, Tiger Woods' documentary didn't do much for him. It's people that need something to bring them back to the forefront, to get them back into the spotlight that boosts their cards. I mean, Tom Brady, the spotlight is already shined on him so big. I mean, he can't get any bigger. He just won a Super Bowl. And all the talk coming into this season is, can they win it again? So docuseries coming up on Tom Brady really just is going to make people even more tired of him than they already are. Of course, I'm speaking from a Dolphins fan standpoint. See Matt saying 89 Aikman tops. I don't know if that's a recommendation or a question. What was a card you have sold that you have regretted the most? I think I still have a picture of this card on my phone. Okay. 2003. Okay, I don't even know the market value on this card right now, guys, because I refuse to look it up. I refuse to look it up, so it'll be a gut punch. So I'm sure you guys are probably going to let me know what it's worth now. But last year, I sold a 2003 Topps, what do they call it? Topps Pristine Refractor. LeBron James BGS 10 Pristine. So it was a Topps Pristine brand, but it was also graded a BGS 10 Pristine. And it was a refractor numbered out of like 1999. I still got pictures of me holding it because a lot of people probably won't believe that I had that card. Here it is in my hand in a picture. So this is a Topps Pristine refractor. There's me holding it from behind. That's me, my eBay listing. So BGS 10 Pristine, 2003, Topps Pristine refractors, LeBron James, serial numbered out of 1999. BGS 10 Pristine. And I'm not even going to tell you what I sold it for because you guys will be like, what? But yeah, that card right there, probably worth a lot of money now. Tal says Steve's shaking my head. But I will tell you, to be honest, that card funded a lot of my purchases. I was able to take the money I made off that LeBron and buy a lot of other stuff when the market was down that later made me money. So as a whole, it probably at the time was a good sell. Looking back on it now and probably seeing what it's worth now in comparison to what I sold it for, probably not something I want to do. Ziggy Sports Car says, looking at the stats on Freddie Freeman and Paul Goldie have really, really close stats to Trout, and the value isn't even close. I think it's just because, and Trout's not super exciting, but Trout has a really good image that people want him to be the face of Major League Baseball. Goldschmidt and Freeman always been great players. If you play fantasy, you know they're the first baseman to go. Again, first basemen sometimes don't tend to draw the appeal that outfielders do, the excitement. I'm going to guess that Trout has more stolen bases. I know Goldschmidt had a couple years with a lot of stolen bases, but when you look at the awards and MVPs and stuff like that, they've gone to Trout, even with these guys playing well. There's probably lots of guys with comparable stats, but the hobby in all sports, they pick their guy that's going to be their guy, and that's just the way that it goes. That's just what the market dictates, and that's just the wave that we're on. Even though there's other players that are really good, there's always something that causes the market to adopt someone. Maybe they're better. Maybe it's something else. Maybe it's something else other than production. And that's just what happens. And unfortunately, you can't always judge one player's values to someone else's based on production alone. Refractor versus good old low pop rookie. Plain looking card. Refractor is all the chase. Guess I'm old. Are you talking about refractors, like new refractors versus rookie cards? So you're talking about maybe new silvers and things like that being chased as opposed to rookie cards? I mean, I would always rather have the rookie cards, especially to ultra modern like Prism silvers and things like that. If you're a collector of a certain player, then you're going to want, nice looking, aesthetically appealing cards. So that might be why people chase them. Somebody might chase an optic checkerboard of Kawhi Leonard because they're a Kawhi Leonard collector. So that's going to drive the market on it. Collectability is going to drive the market on certain cards because people may have those rookies. And how many base rookies can you have when it comes to having a collection? Then you got to chase a sought after, aesthetically appealing, tough to find card. And if it's a popular enough player, there's going to be enough collectors to drive the market on it. And these are people that are going to collect to PC, not people that are going to buy to resell. Super Bad says that sucks. Salt in the wound, Super Bad. Zizzy Toon says Tatis will be the face of baseball. I don't know. I think Tatis is going to be slightly injury riddled throughout his career. I don't think he's going to be badly injured. I just believe he's going to have nagging injuries because of his style of play. I think he's going to always have small nagging injuries. Christian Yelich was like that. Great player. Just always had something. Have you thought of getting graded Super Mario Brothers or Super Mario Brother 3 NES games? I haven't gotten into the games just because I can't collect everything. I'm doing cards. I'm doing some comics. I do some really out-of-the-box cards. I would collect like Super Mario Brother or Nintendo cards maybe before I would collect gaming cartridges. And that's only because they're easier to store in my box and stuff. When I start buying more collectibles of like action figures or of video games and stuff, it just becomes more stuff that I got to store, that I got to eventually sell, that I got to package to sell. It's much, and I trust me from experience, it's much easier to ship one of these than it is to ship one of these. It's much easier to store one of these and take up less space than it is one of these. So, I'll also look at it from a convenience aspect. We're already talking about Luis Robert going down. Did Luis Robert get hurt? Or is it just going down in price? You like the Topps high-tech rookie cards, but baseball collectors appear to hate them. Any thoughts on why? I don't really know why. I think I got a card in here. Okay, so this is funny because you're talking about high-tech rookie cards, and someone else was talking about Luis Robert, and I actually have a card in here that a friend gave to me. And I believe this is a high-tech card, or is it Bowman high-tech? And this is like a high-tech Luis Robert auto. So we got Luis Robert that we're talking about in a high-tech auto. I don't even have any idea what it's worth. I think that when I looked it up, I was surprised at how it wasn't really worth anything. This is a handful of stuff that I got from a friend that I had lost. They asked me to get it graded for them. I irresponsibly lost it, then found it because I had hidden them in a Hoops Premium Blaster. It hit them so good, I couldn't even find them myself. Lakers are not doing much to help LeBron's card value. Neither is LeBron. I mean, he's been in the news for what people think are the wrong reasons. It just everything that he says is scrutinized because he's, is the biggest player in the league right now. And the Lakers aren't winning. The Lakers started off the season slow, though. Then they got hot and they were playing good. Then the injuries happened. And now they're back and healthy again. And LeBron's first game back, they lost. But again, it just might take them getting warmed back up. So we'll see what happens in this next week. Did I collect old Sergeant Slaughter comic books? I did not. I don't even know if they exist. I had some Sergeant Slaughter G.I. Joes, and I used to watch him when he wrestled. So here's Bryant says, Robert got hurt on the same day you received 2 in the mail. Guess you'll be holding him a while. Hey, if it's a really good player and you believe in their potential, an injury sometimes is a blessing in disguise. You never like to see anyone get hurt, but as an investor or even a collector, look at this as an opportunity. Don't say, oh man, don't be bummed that you bought Luis Robert cards and now you may not be able to immediately move them. Look at this as, okay, well, he got hurt. Now this might be an opportunity for me to come in a little bit more, a little bit cheaper, at a little bit of a less risk. And then if he bounces back because I like his potential, now I'm even looking at bigger gains. Yeah, did LeBron get hurt again last night? I don't know how bad it was. LeBron is a crybaby. That's what separates him from Michael. There's lots of different things separate those guys. Yeah, a good time to grade some raw Roberts because now you're not looking to, flip them really quickly. Now you can go ahead and put them into some, submissions. You can't go with PSA, but at the moment, I don't think you want to pay $300 to get your Luis Robert cards graded, but you can put them there somewhere. All right. They said put your money into surefire studs, not maybe duds. Now, I'm going to agree and disagree with this statement because surefire studs are very expensive. And if you do nothing but buy surefire guys at high prices, your turnaround and your profit margins are not going to be very big in a short time span. It takes a lot more time for a high dollar card to increase in price. If you were to invest in a Giannis Prism right now for $2,500 in a PSA 10, it's going to be a long time before that is probably a $4,000 card. It's going to be a long time, and you're tied into that for $2,500. You got to gamble a little bit. You got to take some of your, you can invest 60, 70, 80% safe, surefire guys, blue chippers, but leave yourself 15, 20%. 25% wherever you're comfortable, though, because you got to gamble. You got to have some low price point guys because those are the guys that are going to spike, that are going to become popular, that are going to be more liquid, and you're going to see higher percentage returns. To double your money on a Giannis Prism, it's got to hit $5,000. Okay. To double your money on a $50 Kobe White, it's only got to hit $100. So you're looking at 100% return easily on a card like that, where it's going to be harder and you're going to be tied into that other card for a long period of time. So you got to invest and you got to diversify both ways. Okay. Don't go all ultra modern and then have your money tied up into a bunch of maybes and then they all bust out on you and then you got nothing that nobody wants. But you got to have a few, or you're going to be tied into everything long term and nothing going in and out constantly. And maybe I took that out of context the way that I read it. Maybe there's more to it, and maybe you're thinking the same thing. But whether I'm agreeing or disagreeing with you, that's just my thought on investing. It's not whether I'm agreeing or disagreeing with anybody's statements. Have I heard much about the new grading company called Pure Graded X? I think there is another one too that Ziggy touched on this morning or last night. Ziggy, no, had one on that was TGA, the grading authority. I have heard about Pure Graded X, that Carson Cruz, who's another content creator in the community, I believe is involved in that one. It's either his company or he's one of the investors or something like that. I haven't really touched base with Carson about it yet, and I got to watch a full video on it. He has been in touch with me about talking about it, so we'll see what happens. I have heard of him, but I haven't used them, and I don't have really any opinions on them because I don't, fabricate opinions until I can honestly speak on something from experience. So Ray says talking his stats year to year compared to best players in the sport, 3 or 4 year guys, Hall of Fame trajectory. I mean, Steve, I do both, just heavy on the big boys, me. Yeah, I know exactly what you mean because I'm always, I'm conservative. I'm conservative when I invest. If you watch my content, I'm always all about, if you're able to flip these young, hyped up guys, take that money and put it into a concrete investment. Go buy yourself a Kobe. Go do something like that with the profits. Or I'm always like, when you start your collection, get yourself some concrete cards and then build on it with a few to gamble. I'm always conservative as well. So you guys, yeah, I know where you're coming from. I was just giving my thoughts on sometimes you do have to gamble just because budget doesn't allow you to just go strictly hard on, some people it does. It all depends on, how deep someone's pockets are. So he says, correction, Sergeant Rock comic books. So now are we combining Sergeant Slaughter and The Rock, or is there really Sergeant Rock comic books? Trigger says, I wish Ziggy would get back to his more traditional content. I think his new Walmart friends are slipping him too much Pure Graded X. I don't know. I mean, I'm all about people just doing the content that makes them happy. I mean, Ziggy's Sports Card Daily was a great show where he talked about, different, things that happened in sports and different YouTube channels and things like that. And that was awesome. But, maybe that just got stale for him. And, it's all about the enjoyment you get out of your content. Ultimately, you want others to enjoy your content. But if you don't enjoy it yourself, how much, you're going to go into it half-heartedly. And if you go into it half-heartedly, then your viewers aren't going to enjoy it as much anymore. So it has to be an equal balance. It has to be a happy medium of, I enjoy it, and I hope that my viewers enjoy it as well. But ultimately, in the end, I got to want to do this, And if it's something I don't enjoy doing, I don't really want to do it, from a content creator standpoint. I'm just speaking in general, not for me. I'm enjoying what I'm doing right now. My 1 or 2 videos a week and my live stream. That's what I do. I'm not all jacked up on pushing out a video every day because that's just not me. At that point, it might start to be overwhelming for me. Right now, I'm at a good balance. Hopefully, you guys appreciate the content and like it. I enjoy doing it. As long as I enjoy doing it, I'll keep doing it. And I encourage anybody who wants to do it or that already does. If you enjoy it, don't worry about the feedback. Don't worry about the subscriptions and the channel growth and stuff. If you like doing it, that stuff will just come organically, because the fact that you enjoy it will show, and it'll make your viewers enjoy it as well. It's just organic and it's real. I mean, the word real, it gets thrown around a lot, but when, if you're real in how you portray it and how you actually feel about it, people will notice that and they'll like it as well. So Sergeant Rock is a DC comic vintage book. Yeah, I don't know much about it, man. I'll have to look. I don't know a whole lot about DC stuff other than, your household names, the Justice League members and, Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, Aquaman, Flash, some of those guys. Shazam, I know. But yeah, I saw a comment. Yeah, video. I watched this yesterday, the Wizards. I watched the Wizards video yesterday. Yanks fan says, all he adds is modern. He feels like some older stuff that's worth money is out of reach since he only started doing this 6 months ago. Yeah, if you got Yanks fan, if you got in 6 months ago, was a really tough time to come in to the hobby because it was just nuts. Everything was expensive. It's really hard to find if you're really on a limited budget. It was hard to find something that you could buy to flip your way up. Now, because the market was so hot, if you found the right thing, everything was pretty liquid, so you could snowball items, but your entry level was kind of overinflated at the time. Okay, Craig, what players would I recommend to start collecting in baseball for a new collector? I'm not knowledgeable enough on baseball prospecting. That's the one sport that I don't really prospect on because the farm systems and stuff, the time that it takes for a player from draft to their first day on a major league diamond can be, a lengthy period of time. Lots of stuff can happen within those development years. They could get better. They could get worse. They could get injured. They could, go out to a massage parlor and inappropriately touch someone. So it's kind of like, just a lot of stuff can happen. So I don't like prospecting in baseball. When I come into baseball, I tend to look for the guys that are doing well, but are underpriced in comparison to other people, their peers. Like at one time it was Tatis, believe it or not. It was Soto and Acuna and Vladdy Jr. and everybody was buying their cards up like crazy. And Tatis was just sitting there ready to be plucked off the wire, whether it was due to injury, because he hasn't blown up yet or anything. And now it's not Tatis anymore. So, if you were looking at Acuna, Soto, and Vladdy when those prices were through the roof, and you saw a player like Tatis sitting there, which was a player that I bought, PSA 10s, a lot of the Topps Heritages, dirt cheap, $30. PSA 10 Topps Heritage rookie, Fernando Tatis, last year, $30. All day long on eBay, multiples for sale by the same sellers, buying quantity. And now look, so you look for those types of players that you say, hey, this guy's good. And everybody's buying player A, B, and C, and this guy's really good and nobody's buying him. And that's going to be the specific player. I can give you that strategy, but the specific player is going to be up to you to determine on who you like. Let's see. Yanks fan says Acuna, Soto, and Tatis. The problem is these guys are not entry-level investments. Not anymore. Not at the moment. Yeah, lots of people. I'm sure people in the comments, I see one saying Ohtani, different things like that. This could be a good question. What do I think of Donruss Americana, autos of George St. Pierre, Quentin Tarantino, Ed O'Neill, Al Bundy, etc.? My brother has the Quentin Tarantino. My brother's a huge Quentin Tarantino fan, likes all of his movies and stuff. My brother has the Quentin Tarantino AA. I don't know if it's just one, but he has a Donruss Americana Quentin Tarantino auto because it was a personal collection item. If I was to buy these, I would buy the Superstars that you like. That way, if there's never a huge market spike on these, you have them and they're PC items and you'd like them, like the Quentin Tarantino with my brother, like things that I've bought for myself in the past, like rock and roll stickers and stuff, which there has been a market spike on those, but I was buying them as PC, so I didn't mind at the time of what happened with them. What we got? Ziggy's? Oh, Zizzy. Close enough. Let's see. Slab It Up says, sorry, I had a call I had to take. I submitted 41 cards with PGX. I'll be doing a review on my channel when I get the submission back, hopefully next week or the following week. Is the name of your channel Slab It Up? If the name of your channel, good, stick your name of the channel in the comments. I never tell people that they can't put their channel in the comments. I don't mind. We're all a community. It's not a competition of whose channel is the biggest or anything. You know, this is not a competition for me. If you want to say, hey, I got a channel, I'm going to be doing a submission reveal, go ahead, spread it. It's a community. It's a platform. Super bad. Steve, why are cards from a card show more expensive than eBay? Probably because a lot of times the sellers at the card shows are into these cards at peak value. So if they bought during the peak, they're not going to want to sell right now at current market because they're going to be taking a loss. And a lot of times they try to talk you into selling. They try to sell you potential. Oh, this card's only $300 right now, but if he has a big playoffs, it's going to go up to 450 or it's going to double. You know, you see that a lot. Oh, this card's $300 in the market, but I'm selling it for 500 because if he has a good playoffs, it's going to double. Well, the only reason I'm buying it at market is because if he has a good playoffs, it's going to double. You think I, as an investor, want to buy a card that I think is going to shit the bed? No, I don't. You know, so they're trying to sell potential as opposed to market value because they don't want to take a loss. So, you know, sometimes people get something really cheap, so they don't mind selling at market because they bought below market. A lot of people right now are backwards because the market is dipped right now. A lot of people were in at peak and continued to think that the peaks were going to go up and up and up, but they didn't. You know, they stabilized and they drew back, and now people that bought at peak are backwards, and they don't want to sell at market. You know, my argument to that is don't put it in your showcase, but some people just want to put it out there in the hopes that they'll get a sucker to come along and overpay for it. You know, they don't even want to sell reduced eBay fees. You know, if something's got a $400 market value, they don't even want to sell to you for $375. You know, if they sold a $400 on eBay, they're already getting, you know, $40 trim. That's already $360. And then their argument is, well, you were going to have to pay taxes if you pay on eBay. However, for myself, I live in a sales tax free state. I don't pay taxes on any of my purchases because I live in Delaware. So we don't have sales tax. So he says, seriously, though, yeah, I saw that video, scared the daylight out of me to submit anything anymore. They must be referring to. Ken says, would I sell a 2003 Topps LeBron James rookie card or hold it? Depends. Is it graded? And what are you in for it on? I mean, the time to sell a card is always circumstantial to the individual. I have a 2003 PSA 9 Topps LeBron James that I bought for $500, March 2020, the day of the Valley Forge Philadelphia card show. Paid $500 for it. You know, I could sell it now and be happy. You know, if I got anywhere between $1,500 and $2,000 for it, and for PSA 9, I myself could sell it now and be happy. But somebody who bought it when it was at close to $3,000 probably couldn't sell it right now and be happy. So that's the question there. You know, all the there has to be more circumstances around, you know, should I buy or sell a card, other than just should I buy or sell a card? There's all kinds of determining factors to go into when you should sell and buy. So I don't know what you're in for. I don't know what it's graded. A grade / raw, determine description of the card would give me a chance to get at least know a market value on it and what you came in on it at. And what is your budget looking like? Are you tied up? You need to free up money to buy some more stuff, some stuff that might spike faster than a LeBron rookie? Or can you afford to sit on it? Do you need money to pay your electric bill? I don't know. Everybody has a different circumstance that they're living with. I hope you're not referring to a LeBron 2003 rookie, because you said you said you've had it since 1993. Billy Work says it thinks people like to flex at card shows also. Again, guys, I haven't been to a card show in over a year. I just know what I see and what I hear through people that I talk to in the community. Like I said, I'm going to Dallas, so I get a witness from myself. I might fly to Dallas and pay for plane tickets and pay for a hotel, and I might not buy a single card. I might come home empty-handed because I'm not going to overpay for anything, and I'm really going to be looking for stuff that I can't find on eBay, And a lot of times the stuff that I can't find on eBay is rare, and then it's hard to get a market on it because you don't have eBay, recent eBay sales. So in that case, when there's not a lot of market activity on a card to give you a fair price, sometimes you may think that a seller is overcharging because you may think said card is worth this much, and they may think it's worth this much, and there's no determining factor as to what the market on that card actually is. New York Jets going to have a 500 record this year. You think they'll go 8-8? I don't think so. Not in the East. The Dolphins are going to beat them twice. The Bills are going to beat them twice. The Patriots will beat them at least once. So that's 5 losses right there. Yeah, here's the thing, Scott. Yeah. That's the thing. Cash is king at a card show, and there's some really, really pricey cards at card shows. And sometimes to walk in with, I don't like walking around with big loads of cash in my pocket either, like that. And the bank only lets you take so much out of the ATM a day. So yeah, it's kind of tough. Because I have a pretty large budget to take to Dallas with me, but there's no way I'm carrying cash. There's no way I'm taking it on an airplane. All right, here we go. Ken saved himself. Correction, since 2013, guys. He's had it since 2013. Oh, yeah, good point, Craig. Good point. NFL season is longer. No more 8-8. How many games did they add? 1 or 2? Did they add just 1? So you can't go 500 anymore unless you tie or something. 8-1. Oh man, there's a long one here. Let's see. LBJ Upper Deck box set is a great and profitable set to make flips on. Has super low pop and PSA report. Some of the PSA 10s are about 20-30. PSA 10 and 9s are low pop as well. Yeah, there's a lot of LeBron stuff out there. He has the box set. Is that the same as the diary? Because there's also the LeBron diary cards. There's low end, Upper Deck exclusive, Upper Deck star rookie, which is not necessarily low end anymore. All your tops, all your fleers, your chrome high end stuff. I mean, there's lots of options with LeBron out there. If you're just looking for LeBron rookies, there's even the insert. I forget what it's called. That people were pushing for a while, but There's lots of options out there for all price points on LeBron cards. The problem right now is the price of grading. Okay. Some of this super low end stuff, if you pay a pretty penny to get it graded and you don't get a 10 on it, you're probably going to be upside down on it. So we got 17 regular season, and then they added 2 games. So which one is it, guys? One. What do I think of Carson Wentz sleeper value? Okay, not so much sleeper value because I think everybody is thinking the same way. I think everybody is thinking that Carson Wentz in the past has been an MVP caliber quarterback, which he has. Didn't have much to work with Philadelphia over the last couple of years, which he hasn't. That's all true. He's going to a Colts team that is loaded with a great offensive line, good receivers, good young running backs, which is all true. A competitive team. It's all true. And everybody knows that. So his prices aren't necessarily sleeper because people are buying them with all this thought already in their head. To me, the bigger sleeper and the same guy who falls under all the same circumstances as far as team is concerned is Jacob Eason. If you really want to make a sneaky play at low budget, low risk, low cost, basement prices, look at Jacob Eason. He was drafted to be the Colts' future quarterback, but they brought in a win-now veteran in Phillip Rivers. Then they brought in a win-now veteran in Carson Wentz, and they're continuing to sit on Jacob Eason, who's now played a season behind of Rivers, will be behind Wentz, 2 good guys to be behind. And if he gets the reins to that team, with Carson Wentz being a player that has been known for injuries, he's going to come into a team with a great offensive line that he sat behind a veteran quarterback for a year with good receivers and a good running game and a good head coach that knows quarterbacks like Frank Reich. And he's going to get a chance to play. And that's all you need is an opportunity in the NFL before you even step on the field. The fact that people see that you're about to have an opportunity will cause your cards to spike. Like I said, I just 2x on my Teddy Bridgewater investments because he got traded. If Carson Wentz was to go down with a knee or something, and I don't want that to happen. I want Carson Wentz to do well. But if Carson Wentz was to go down with a knee, could you imagine the hype and hysteria that would all of a sudden swarm around Jacob Eason cards? And he's talented. That's not that he's just a young rookie quarterback that's just a backup because he's a good filler. I mean, this guy was drafted to be, a quarterback. Since I'm a Dolphins fan, Alan asks, what do I think of Tua? Maybe Waddle helps. Well, the thing with Tua is he's not going to be relied upon, nor do I think that he's going to put up massive numbers. I think he's going to be and I don't think he's going to be a game manager either. He's going to make plays. He's going to be called upon to make plays. Last year when that happened, sometimes it didn't work out. Fitzpatrick would come in the end of games because they needed to jumpstart the offense. And, he wasn't scared to throw the ball down the field, regardless of who caught it, but he was exciting. I don't think Tua is going to be asked to pass for 300 plus yards per game and 3 touchdowns. I think you're looking at between 220 to 240 a game, 250, a couple touchdowns. Don't turn the ball over. A little bit more than a game manager. Make a couple plays with your legs if you need to. Move the chains. They're not just going to run. He is going to have to make plays, but the defense is going to keep him in games. And they're going to be more of a clock management team by making a few decent plays. So gigantic stat lines for Tua, I just don't see it. Not yet. Even with Waddle coming in, Parker has to stay healthy. If Parker doesn't stay healthy, that moves the wide receiver. Okay, the plan is for Parker to be the big man on the outside, for Fuller to be the man on the other side, stretching the field and opening it up underneath for guys like Waddle to get in space. If Parker gets hurt, which he is known to do, or Will Fuller gets hurt, which he is known to do, that scraps that whole offensive plan to where Waddle now has to play out of position, or has to still play underneath, but you don't have a guy like Fuller taking the cap off of the defense. There's just lots of things that goes into it. It's more so than, hey, does Waddle help? He helps in an ideal situation, yes. Any talent does. But I don't look at the Dolphins sending Tua out there to throw the ball 40 times a game. I just don't see that happening. Who will have a better season, Matt Stafford or Jared Goff? Matt Stafford. He's a rocket slinger. He's hard as nails. The guy plays with separated shoulders. He's competitive. He's got weapons, better weapons around him. You know, Cooper Kupp, Robert Woods, Tyler Higbee, just got better players. He's going to a better team, he's playing with Linehan or whatever, the coach of the Rams. Just a way better situation for Matt Stafford. He's a better quarterback, I believe, and he's in a better situation. Triggerfinger agrees there. Scott says Winston has never been accurate, always been his issue. Yeah, Winston is one of those guys that I like to talk about as being a good fantasy player, but not a good NFL player. He's going to put up massive stats and win you a lot of fantasy football games, but he's going to lose you a lot of NFL games because in the NFL, turnovers hurt a lot worse than they do in fantasy football. A lot of people still on the Stafford golf question. Oh, guys, we just hit 2 hours. I didn't even realize it. Like, time goes so fast when we're having good chat and good comments. Like, but I can always tell my throat starts to get a little bit sore, and I look up the little ticker, and it says 2 hours, and I'm like, oh. So, guys, we got anything else we want to talk about in the comments? If there's somebody who really wanted something answered and I missed it, I'm sorry. Put it in there last minute. There's a train coming through, but put it down there, and I'll try to get it before I say goodnight. I just, I hate to miss comments. I try to get to everybody, and unfortunately I can't. Not because I intentionally skip. They just go by. And the next thing you know, I missed a whole page. What do you say? Costa Rica says you hit your 2 hours. Take care. I try to do 2 hours. I usually do about 2:10, 2:15. I don't like to just cut it off at 2 and be like, it's 2 o'clock or it's 2 hours. Peace. Bitches. I just like to be like heading out. Remember, guys, if you haven't subscribed, you can do it if you want. All you got to do is hit the button, hit the like. Comment about the auctions that I was talking about earlier. If anybody's interested in either viewing or even being in like a card auction on YouTube, go check out, even if you're not in the comic books or not, go check out a comic book auction. That's all I want you to do is just go click on one for maybe 1 or 2 minutes and see how they operate them. That way you get an idea of what I'm talking about for a sports card auction. Maybe some people would be interested in it, and drop a comment on this live stream if that's something that you think would be cool to do. So people can find some deals and maybe some cards that they don't see on eBay and things like that. But to get an idea of what I'm talking about, you can check out a comic book auction. I guess you could probably just search it in an eBay or YouTube search, and you will find a comic book auction. There's different ones. Jay Blitz. It's the one I watch a lot. Sands Group. Strictly Comics. There's so many. Who Dat. Yeah, check out any one of those and just check out the format that they use and tell me if that's something you guys would like. Carson coming in with a question at the buzzer. Why do you think Select Football is selling for less than Prism, since the trend in the hobby is opposite? Maybe because the retail now and the trend was only for old Select Prism pre-20. Select is selling for less in football because the pop reports on Prism football are just nowhere near basketball. It's light years difference for basketball when you look at pop reports for Prism. And ultimately, that's what drove people to Select in basketball, was the scary Prism pop reports. And it just hasn't happened in football yet because the pop reports haven't gotten that high. And this, we've only seen this happen during this basketball season. So maybe it'll take further into the NFL season for the market as a whole to just say, hey, we switched from Prism to Select in basketball. Why not do it in football? So maybe it's just the market hasn't switched yet as a whole because the season hasn't started and people haven't fully engulfed themselves in the football yet. Or it could just have a lot to do with pop reports as well. All right, guys, thanks for stopping by. If that's it, I'm going to check out Pittsburgh from yesterday. Did Pittsburgh have an auction? If he did, I will check that out because I'm interested in something like that, either doing it with somebody else or doing it on here. Again, let me know what you guys think. Again, guys, thanks again for checking out the I see one coming in late here about Gary V. I think it can, because I think a lot of people were actually polarized by Gary V to an extent. And we just haven't seen Gary V in a while. That doesn't mean that he's out. He'll pop up here sooner or later. All right, so he had an auction. All right, man, I wish I would have seen it. I don't know where I was at. I was out with my wife, and then I went to bed. But yeah, okay, so there is a sports card auction going on in the community. That's awesome because I want to take a look into that. I'm not trying to set it up on my channel or anything. I just want to see. I want to go in as a buyer and possibly a seller, so that would be awesome. All right, guys, 2:06. I'm gonna go ahead and head out. Thanks for joining me. I'm leaving town tomorrow and for tomorrow night, but I might get a video out either before I leave or maybe actually from where I'm staying. I might put one out because I don't think I need a lot of stuff for that video I'm putting out. It's just going to be a sales recap. So check up for my video coming up within the next couple of days, guys. We're pushing 3,750 on the subscribers, which is awesome. I think I'm coming up on a year. Maybe I'm at a year. I can't even remember. I haven't even timed it. I lose track of time. It's just been fun. Guys, thanks for joining the live stream. Keep your eyes peeled for the video. Like, comment, all that stuff. Comment below about the auctions. And guys, till next time, good luck in your investing. And I'll see you later.